Hi guys, welcome back to Ladensa Crochets. If you're new to the channel, you're welcome. My name is Liz. Kindly subscribe and join the family, and let's create this simple shrug. It looks a bit complex, but it's not. It's a very simple stitch called the V stitch. Enjoy the tutorial, and if you do, leave a like, comment and share. Let's get into the tutorial. For this project, I'll be using this yarn. It's a milk cotton super saver, and I got it from Osona Yarns. It's a medium weight yarn, and it recommends a crochet needle of 2.5 to 3 millimeters, but I'll be using my 4 millimeter crochet hook, this one right here. Then I'm going to need a pair of scissors, stitch markers, a darning needle or a tapestry needle, and a measuring tape. The shoulder to shoulder measurement is our starting chain, and I'll be working a shoulder to shoulder measurement of 17 inches. So I'll grab my yarn and start with a slip knot. Then I'm going to make a chain that is long enough to stretch out to 17 inches. So my starting chain is going to be 48 chains. Now you're going to make a chain that will be your shoulder to shoulder measurements when it is stretched. So stretch out your starting chain completely because you want something that fits perfectly onto your shoulders. These are 48 chains, and I'm going to get the measuring tape and then measure from one end to the other. And as I'm measuring, I'm going to stretch out my work completely. So when I stretch it out, it stretches up to 17 inches, which is the exact measurement that I need to work with. And so I'm ready to begin row 1. Now then I'll add one more chain to get me to 49. Make sure that your starting chain is a multiple of 4. Then we're going to add another chain, which is our starting chain. Insert our hook into the 49th chain and pull up a loop, then pull through the 2 loops to complete a single crochet. Go into the next chain and work a single crochet into that second chain. Into the third chain, we're going to work another single crochet. Into the 4th chain, we're going to work a single crochet, and then we're going to work one single crochet up to the end of that chain. Now, I started with 48 chains, which is a multiple of 4. Then I added one more chain and another chain. So in total, I have 50 chains, but then the 50th chain is the turning chain. And that means at the end of row 1, I should have 49 single crochets. I'm working my single crochets to the end of row 1. As you can see, I'm in the second last chain, and I'm going to place the last single crochet into the last chain. And that's the end of row 1. We are ready to begin row 2, and we start by chaining 3. The chain 3 acts as a double crochet and a chain 1. Then we're going to yarn over and work in the very first chain. In the very first stitch, work a double crochet. Then chain 2, yarn over, count 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the 4th and work a double crochet. Then chain 1, yarn over and work a double crochet into that same stitch. Chain 2, yarn over, count 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and insert your hook into the 4th and work a double crochet. Chain 1, another double crochet into the same stitch. So basically we are skipping 3 stitches in between the V stitches. A V stitch is a double crochet, a chain, and then another double crochet into the same stitch. So chain 1, double crochet into the same stitch. So we are working with the V stitch. Chain 2, count 4 stitches, work a double crochet, a chain 1 and another double crochet. Chain 2, yarn over, count 4 stitches, work the V stitch into the 4th stitch, and now repeat this pattern till you get to the end of row 2. We're coming to the end, and you should have 4 stitches remaining. Chain 2, skip the 3 stitches and work into the last stitch with a double crochet, V stitch, that is a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet into that last stitch, and that is the end of row 2, and this is what you should have. Then we're going to chain 3 and turn to begin row 3, and we're going to work into the chain 1 gap, work a double crochet into that chain 1 gap, then chain 2, skip over into the next V stitch in the chain 1 gap, place another V stitch there, that is a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet into the same stitch, then chain 2, skip over and work a V stitch on top of the previous V stitch, chain 2, and keep going to the end of row 3 with a V stitch on top of the previous V stitch separated by a chain 2. So chain 2, double crochet into the chain 1 gap, chain 1, another double crochet. I'll keep going to the end of row 3. I'm working a V stitch into the second last V stitch, then chain 2, a V stitch into the last V stitch. We're done with row 3, so we are ready to begin row 4. And we begin by chaining 3, then turn, work a double crochet into that very first V stitch into the chain 1 gap, then chain 2, then work the V stitches. Now we are repeating row 4 the same way we've done row 3, and from this point till we get the length of the shrug that we want, we're just going to repeat row 3. So keep repeating row 3 until you get the length of your shrug. If you want it short, you'll work a few rows. If you want it long, you'll work more rows. I'm going to work a total of 10 rows and then I'll be back. After 10 rows, this is what I have, and I'm going to make another panel similar to this one. I have the second panel ready, and now I'm going to join the two on the shoulder part. So you need to hold them side by side. Make sure that you've not cut off the yarn from the second panel, and once you have them side by side, you're going to chain 1 from the last panel, then insert your hook into the very first double crochet on the second panel, then get the first panel and insert your hook into the very first stitch, the chain 3 stitch, actually the chain 2, and then we're going to join those 2 stitches with a single crochet. Then we're going to go in the chain 1 gap on one side and the chain 1 gap on the other side, connect with a single crochet, and then into the double crochet and the double crochet on the other side, into the chain 2 stitch. We're going to place 2 single crochets. That's 1 and 2, and that gets us to the double crochet stitches. Join them with a single crochet, then a single crochet into the chain 1 gap, a single crochet into the next double crochets, 2 single crochets into the chain 2 gap, 1 single crochet into the next double crochet, and we've joined for 11 stitches. So we're going to join on the shoulders for 11 stitches, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn at that point. Then we're going to pull through and fasten. turn to the other side and join for 11 stitches, just like we've done on this other side. So begin on the first double crochet, reconnect it with the double crochet on the other side, then reconnect the yarn with a slip stitch, then chain 1, go back into that stitch with a single crochet, work a single crochet into the chain 1 gap as you join the 2 chain 1 gaps, a single crochet onto the double crochets, two single crochets onto the chain 2 gap, and join for 11 stitches. This is my last stitch, so I'll chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Then I'll pull the yarn through and fasten. Now these 2 panels are joined, and now this is the neckline. Next we need to do the sleeves to the shrug, and then we're going to join them. Before working the sleeves, I'll get the darning needle, and then I'm going to weave in all the ends. We work the sleeves now, and we're going to start with a slip knot, then chain 5, pull out your hook from the 5th chain and hold it, insert your hook into the 1st chain and back into the 5th chain, then continue chaining, and I'm going to chain a total of 52 chains. As just like we did in the main part, the number of stitches should be a multiple of 4. So it could be 52, it could be 56, it could be 48, depending on the size of your arm. So 52 fits for me. If you have a bigger arm, you're going to need to chain more. If you have a smaller one, you're going to need to chain less. So let me do my 52 chains. 52 chains give me a length of 9.5 when folded into 2. When you multiply by 2, we get 19. So I'm going to pull the second loop through the first loop to make a round. Then you can try this onto your arm and make sure that it fits. So when I try mine, it fits, and therefore this is what I'm going to work with. Then we're going to chain 1 and work a single crochet into the first stitch. As I do that, I'm going to work over that end that was created when we did the slip knot. Then I'm going to place 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around, and at the end of round 1, I'm going to have a total of 52 single crochets. After placing a single crochet into every stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch onto the first single crochet that we made. Insert your hook and pull the loop through the loop that was on the hook. That's a slip stitch. Chain 3. Go back into that stitch with a double crochet. We are not turning, we are working rounds. So this is round 2. Chain 2, count 4 stitches, work a double crochet, V-stitch into the 4th chain, 4th stitch, chain 2, yarn over and count the 4 stitches, work into the 4th stitch, a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet, which is our V-stitch, and we're going to repeat this pattern to the end of round 2. Chain 2 at the end and skip the rest of the stitches, which should be 3, and do a slip stitch to complete the round. Chain 3 to begin round 3, then work a double crochet into that first chain 1 gap to create the V-stitch. Chain 2, work a double crochet V-stitch into the next double crochet V-stitch. And this pattern is just the same as the one that we used in the main part. So just repeat 2 chains, then a V-stitch all the way around. Chain 2 at the end and slip stitch into the first V-stitch. Then chain 3, then work a double crochet right there into that same stitch. Chain 2, work a double crochet into the next V-stitch. Chain 1, another double crochet to create a V-stitch. This is round 4, and we're going to work round 4 the same way we've worked round 3. And this is the row that we're going to repeat until we have the full length of the sleeve. I'm working a sleeve length of 22 inches, and I'm going to repeat these rows, actually rounds. I'm going to repeat these rounds until I get 40 rounds. So let me go on, work my 40 rounds, and I'll be back once I have the full length. Once we have the 40 rows, we're going to do our last slip stitch into the first V-stitch, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Then we're going to pull it through and fasten. So pull your yarn through, fasten, and we have the sleeve ready, and that's a total of 40 rows. Now if you want your sleeve longer, you're going to have to do more rows. So let's get the measuring tape and confirm the measurements from one end to the other without stretching, because you do not stretch the length. And that is 22 inches, which is what I was going for. So I'm going to make another sleeve exactly as this one. I have the 2 sleeves ready, and it's time to join them to the main part of, or to the body part of the shrug. So you need to hold the pieces such that you're on the wrong side of each of them. And so I want to ensure that my sleeve is on the wrong side. This one is on the wrong side, so I'll just turn the other one to the wrong side. And then I'm going to pin the sleeves with the main part of the shrug, and then I'll join using a darning needle. You can join using the darning needle, or you can use the hook to join them. Get the stitch markers so that you can pin the sleeve and the body part together. So we're going to pin on the shoulder part of this piece. So at the shoulder part, get that shoulder part where we joined, and insert your stitch marker. Then onto the sleeve part, you're going to get just one of the V's. So the shoulder corresponds with one of the V's of the sleeve. Then we're going to get another stitch marker and mark the end of the body part with another V part of the sleeve. Just ensure that it's you're joining proportionately. There is no specific way of joining this. You just have to make sure that the parts of joining are proportional to each other, and that you do not have too many stitches on one side and fewer stitches on the other side. So like I've counted 5 V stitches on each side of the sleeve. As you can see, my sleeve is bigger than the body part of the shrug, and so after counting the 5 V stitches, I've marked that part. Then I'm going to get my hook. I wanted to join with the hook, but I decided against it, and I went for the darning needle because it will be easier to join with the tapestry needle than the hook. Put some yarn into the needle, and then you can cut it off. Then we're going to start joining from one end of the shrug to the point where we counted the V's. We are counting 5 of them, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then now we're going to start sewing from that point. So I'll just put the yarn through using the needle, then make 2 knots in that very first stitch. And then now I'm just going to sew all the way around to the stitch marker on the shoulders, and then I'll continue on the other side. So this is quite simple. You're just going to sew the 2 pieces together. Now the way you sew your pieces together might be different from whatever I'm doing, so just do whatever works for you. Ensure that you're joining the 2 panels or the 2 pieces in a proportionate manner. Do not have too many stitches on one side while the other one has fewer stitches. So this is just common sense. Just join, and let me do that all the way around to the stitch marker, and then I'll be back. Once you get to the last stitch, you're just going to pull out the stitch marker. So right there, I'm going to get it out, and then I'll work a stitch onto that last stitch. And as I do, I'm going to create a knot too at that end. And then after creating the knot, I'll weave in the end that will remain. So right now, I'm just creating the knot. Then I'll weave in the end into the single crochet stitches at the bottom part of the shrug. Once you're satisfied that the end is well hidden, just cut off whatever remains, and our sleeve is in place. That is, one of the sleeves is well in place. So we're just going to get the other sleeve, and we're going to join it the same exact way we've done with this other one. So let me do that off camera, and then I'll be back to show you the last part of this tutorial. I have both sleeves in place, and this is what we have so far. And then I'm going to turn my work to the right side. Once we have the shrug on the right side, we're going to do one final row on the edging on the bottom part of the shrug. Get your hook and the yarn, and we're going to work that part. So we're going to reconnect the yarn on any point on the shrug or any stitch. We are working on the single crochet stitches on that bottom part of the shrug. So connect your yarn and chain 1, and then go back into that stitch with a single crochet. And while working this final row, I'm going to be working over all the ends that are on that bottom part. Go into the second stitch and place a single crochet into it, a single crochet into the third stitch, a single crochet into the fourth stitch, a single crochet into the fifth, and one single crochet into every stitch all the way around the bottom part of the shrug. So the essence of this row is just to make the work neater on the bottom part, and also to make it easy to weave in the ends. You can actually do without this row, but I like to do it so that I can weave the ends easily, because it's easier for me to do this using the single crochet row instead of using the tapestry needle. Just place one single crochet into every stitch all the way around, and when we get to the end, we're going to do a slip stitch onto the first stitch that we did. After the slip stitch, chain 1 and cut off the yarn, and now we are done. So just cut off that yarn and weave in that end. Then you're going to go on and weave in all the ends that have remained on your shrug, and then you're done. So thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the tutorial. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, kindly leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and see you in the next one.